It is your geek show. I'm Miss Shannon here with the entire crew. Rob Callahan over there doing the freestyle at the moment. I like that. You're back up on our theme song.
I
Geek show.
expected more people to sing along with me. I thought we established that last
Boop,
week. That we were gonna...
boop, 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 boop.
I expected
Yeah, I
more
can't
people to
co-sign
sing
that.
along like with the rhythm of the music.
You
I've
need
been
to
taking
give them more
beatboxing
detailed
lessons over the
advice
last week,
time.
and yeah.
Our initial singer was Rob Callahan. We're also joined by Jayden Satia, and our friend Nika Hotep is here as well. Our social media demon, we brought him out as well because he's been complaining about being in his box too often.
Why?
I told you. Okay, so Nika Hotep, most of the time he hangs out in my bedroom in the jewelry box, but he's been complaining because it's summer and he wants to get out more often. So this is just one of the established field trips he's allowed to have, and he usually is very helpful as far as the show is concerned. I have to give him that.
Last week
Thank
you were
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
I-
Thank you.
Give it up.
It's always a pleasure.
You were really great at the gaming. It was really
well,
good.
yeah, I try.
But that's all you get.
Is that what we did last week? It's been
Yes,
so long, I forgot.
know.
Yeah.
We talked about LGBT video
It's like
game
characters.
Yes,
And, yeah.
very
And
timely.
I gave you kind of more updates on some of the films that I'm recruiting for our festival as well.
Nice. And so we had a great show. We were very excited about today's guest as well. Our guest geek of the week this week, we will introduce her now because we have some things we want to talk about. We want to get right to it. So our guest geek of the week this week, Hal Bishel. And so Hal, I adore you for so many reasons. Not only are you the social media maven for so many cons here in the Twin Cities, you do things with TwinCitiesGeek.com, right?
Yep. Hi.
The thing that you learn about Hal is that one of the things is that if you hang out in the Twin Cities geek community, she's the person that makes a lot of it all run. But she is also the person that normally is not the one that is in front of the mic or in the camera or hanging out at the actual thing. And so you have to go, who's that lady over there with the fantastic blue hair? And then you go, that's Hal.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
hashtagging most of the time?
Hashtagging?
Yeah. Social media, right?
Well, yeah, but I don't overuse hashtags. I guess I'm not sure what you're asking me.
What is your favorite hashtag right now, Hal?
Oh man.
I got you some walk-up music. 'cause
I like
thought
it.
See, it's good whimsy.
It's a little distracting though.
All life is distracting. So what's your favorite hashtag right now?
I'm not really sure because okay. There's two ways you'd use hashtags, right? And the one I'm guessing you guys are most familiar with is for like trends,
Yes.
right? So like on Twitter and stuff. The other way to use hashtags is sort of like to spell out your subtext.
Yes.
I
Which
like-
I do more often.
I like
than
doing
anything.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, mine is ignore the fine print.
Yeah.
Mine is geeky people problems. That's what I use most often. So, yes. So,
I had a
Leave
good
me
one.
alone. Is that a good one?
I can't. My memory is garbage, but I had one. I'm gonna look it up now.
okay.
Or sign up.
Callahan, what's your subtext hashtag?
Am I doing this right?
Sign here. Jayden. Just sign
Get me
right
a
here.
millennial. I need help.
I like that you act like you're like 50,000 years old. That's so fine because then that makes you more relatable to Nika Hotep. So, it's all great. And Hal,
By the way, I got
appreciate-
to ask you, Nika Hotep, what do you do to get that great skin?
Well, I can't tell you that. It's a secret.
bathe in the
Trade
blood of hobbits, and then I stopped that
Trade
and put him in a box.
secret.
That's what
Truffle
happened.
butter.
truffle. I love butter.
We can tell. So,
Yeah, I can't
Oh my
find it.
gosh.
How
What
the
is
other
this? Is
reason-
this pick on the demon week? Oh my.
it's always pick on the demon
Happy
week.
4th of July.
Yes, our
Let's talk-
social media
let's-
demon.
Let's talk to the
And
people we
Hal,
like again.
Yes, Hal. The other reason that we enjoy
Oh.
your visit is that Hal brought her Pomeranian. You
Yeah.
brought so we have what's your dog's name?
Well, she's not my dog. She's my housemate's dog.
Okay, your housemate's dog. So
Yeah.
we have a Pomeranian that is in studio with us as well. So if you
Yes.
wonder about, so Jayden, will you mic what's your
Yeah.
Pomeranian? The Pomeranian's name, Hal?
Padme Amidala.
Padme. That is the best dog name ever. Hi, Padme.
Or you put the mic up to her, she holds her breath.
That is so funny. Okay, dog. That's fine. Now the dog and I are like mortal enemies because she's been breathing over there really
A
loud the
little
whole
mic
time.
shy.
I just wanted everybody to know if you heard somebody panting in the background,
That
it
it
was
was not-
Padme Aladama, not Nika Hotep.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be Nika Hotep, but
It
just in
wasn't
case.
this time.
Only if you say something cute.
So cute.
Well, thank you very much for bringing Padme and coming and hang out with us. So one of the things that you, along with all of the social media things in the Twin Cities, is that you are the media maven for Twin Cities TwinCitiesGeek.com, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so tell us about that and why you keep that running and keep all of us geeks writing for you over there at Twin Cities Geek.
Well, it started out several years ago. We made the Twin Cities Geek Facebook group that probably most people in this room are in.
Yes, that is true. Yes.
And there was, a year and a half ago about an online publication ran a story about a convention that was not very flattering towards the convention or its attendees.
Right.
And that is kind of something that happens quite often in the sort
Couple
of
times a
organized
year, really.
Yeah. And people were complaining about it, and so I thought, well, we're all nerds here. We could just make our own website where we can have our own coverage the way that we want to have it of stuff. And it's like we know how to do search engine optimization and social media marketing and stuff. We could turn it into a thing that has at least as much web traffic as some of these other, little web magazines. And that's sort of how it started, but it fulfills several other sort of background goals that I have generally.
So what else are you working on? Like, why do you like putting that together?
I like to provide, I guess, a platform to help people say things they want to say.
Right.
And particularly I think that there are a lot of voices in geekdom that don't necessarily get a lot of the attention that they should.
Right.
And so just sort of, if we all come together and publish in the same place, we can get a lot more readers than everybody having their own individual blog. And so if there's something that you particularly want to say or tell people about, then it's a good platform to do that on.
Right. And I do think that it's done a very good job of bringing a broader geek perspective to things, because I think a lot of times when you hear about a geek show or if you hear about a geek website, they're only going to talk about this one thing. But that's not what happens on TwinCitiesGeek.com, because there are such a broad variety of writers for it, is that there's parenting geeks. Like, I'll write about stuff about Cyclone Kid, or Rob Callahan might do a review, or what have you been, or what different things that we can write over there. Or
I don't know. I just
Well, he just
get
started
an idea and I say,
very
do you want
recently.
me to write this?
yes,
Yeah,
or-
that's kind of what I get a lot of messages from, because there's about 30 people who write for it.
Right.
I get a lot of message about, hey, can I write about this? And I'm like, if you want to write about it, I'll publish it. I mean, the whole point of this is to boost people's voices. So if you have something to say, sure.
Yes.
But particularly, I broke it down into some areas of interest. So we've got LGBT, QA, alphabet soup
Right.
section. And then we've got race and culture. And then we've got local events. We've got arts. We've got geek fitness. Because there are a lot of people in the geek community who are into fitness and stuff. And so,
course,
and
yes.
nobody's writing about it, really.
There are buff geeks out there.
Yeah.
I've been planning an article for that one. I want to write about the fact that I've been taking sword fighting lessons.
That's awesome.
I know I've been bugging you about it and I haven't done it. So that is my fault with the bad follow through.
That's
So
okay.
kind of thing.
It's not like that's the other thing about it. It's all volunteer, okay? And while I try to put incentives on it, so you get your own. If you write for it, you get a profile page, and you can link to your website and stuff from that. You get a blurb at the end, which you can link to from. I put a LinkedIn profile up, so you can have it in your volunteer experience. I will recommend you on LinkedIn if you do it. I've got templates for business cards if you want to have that. You get a @TwinCitiesGeek.com email address if you write for it. So I try to incentivize it a little bit. Since I can't pay any money. But at the same time, it is still a volunteer endeavor, so it's sort of like...
As is your geek show. So you
Yeah.
either need to incentivize it or just have friends and I'm like, hey, I got a project.
I think you'd be surprised by just how many very polished and professional looking publications and organizations out here in the Twin Cities are completely volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I got paid for Vitamin. Not well, but I got paid for Vitamin. But many of the other organizations I've written for, people are really surprised when they hear that I wasn't getting paid. And then I go in and say, well, it's not just me. We're all volunteers.
Yeah.
Nobody gets paid there. And they always assume everyone's making money hand over fist.
And particularly if there are not a lot of advertisements on the website, chances are that it's not making money. Therefore,
Yeah.
it cannot
Right.
be paying anyone. I mean, that's sort of the deal.
But it is a great opportunity to be able to write for something that looks like a polished, and you do have a polished, professional organization over there that a lot of people now get to support and write for, where they normally would just be like, well, yeah, I put up this WordPress set, like you said, on my own,
Yeah.
and don't have the support that you have when you work for something like TwinCitiesGeek.com. So we appreciate everything that you do over there. And Hal is very great at, once you say that you're willing to volunteer for it, politely poking at you, kind of thing, going, you know me, an article, poke, and I'll get a message. I'm like, you're right, I do.
That's business 101. That's
Yes.
just holding somebody else accountable.
Yeah. I don't go overboard about it.
No,
because
she's
it's
very
a
polite
volunteer
about it.
thing.
Very polite about it. You're like, are you going to keep writing for this? Poke. And I'm like, fair enough. Yes, I will. So I adore it. I appreciate what you do. So, but you also have been very involved in the marketing of a lot of the local cons that happen here.
Well,
in the Twin
not a
Cities.
lot, just the one of them, really.
Okay.
Because I was.
So you only claim this one, but I feel like when
I've been asked to do others, but I am only one person.
okay.
But I'll give advice. Like if
Okay.
they want to know sort of some strategies and stuff, I'll tell them. But it's true. I only claim one, and I really only have an active, ongoing role in one.
So the one that we're talking about Convergence itself, the big one. So how did you get involved with that?
How I got it? Well, geez, I started going like 10 years ago. And I started volunteering originally in the video department because at the time, I was working at the J School at the U of M, and I had a lot of actually experience editing video professionally. Once it's sort of like, so Convergence, right? It's pretty large for something completely fan-run nonprofit.
Correct.
The committee that runs it is like 250 people. It's ginormous.
Wow.
Yeah. So once you get roped into volunteering on a regular basis and you go to some of the meetings, people find out you have other skills and you get roped into doing other things.
Right.
And it kind of snowballs on you.
Yeah.
So I was in the video department for several years, and I was, mastering the DVDs and doing some editing and things like that. And at the time, there was a Convergence Facebook group, but it was kind of like the Wild West on Facebook.
Right.
I mean, there was the organization didn't own it, but people thought that they did, which is a huge branding problem.
Yes.
So the organization finally got some control over it, and then went through a couple different people who were managing the social media aspect of Convergence, but they kind of got burned through kind of quickly.
Right.
Because social media, I mean, you guys probably all know, there's a lot of drama that happens on social media. And
it's very difficult to control.
Yeah.
That's the whole point about social media is you can do whatever you want. And it's like wrangling an octopus at any given time.
Yeah, and actually there was quite a bit of dissent about whether we should have social media presence at all because of the drama problem. And it's sort of like people are going to talk about it on social media either way.
So how can we ignore it?
You
Right.
can either be in the back seat and go wherever it goes, or you can be at the wheel driving.
Mm-hmm.
So...
and then they're like, here, Hal, have a wheel. Go ahead, drive away.
Well, it was sort of like triage in a way because, I mean, there was already like 3,000 people in the group before we got a hold of it. And there
Right.
had been some pretty epic knockout, drag down, just internet arguing happening on there.
Because how hard is it when you're saying that there's 250 people involved in the
And that's a
organization
ballpark.
of
It's
Yeah.
probably more than that now.
So
Wow.
keeping track of all of that and trying to make sure that there's some semblance of order with
That's a
all
lot
these
of you- that's a
different
lot.
personalities.
So I don't do that. You
Okay.
know, I'm not in the director level in the organization intentionally.
Okay. You just like pour water on the fire to make sure that it dampens down.
Not even that. I mean,
Okay.
it's sort of like I tell everybody when I moderate, because I moderate a lot of groups, and I ran a World of Warcraft guild forever, and I've done
Wait.
Nikahotep
Wait.
perked up. Wait a minute. What? Go ahead.
Horde or Alliance?
both.
Can't be both.
Tough.
She's better than you.
He's our resident villain as well. If you didn't worried about it, if you hadn't noticed how. So you ran. So you ran that, and then how?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I ran that, and I'd been active on bulletin boards and moderating for a long time before I started doing the Convergence one. So I sort of already had an idea how to deal with people who like to argue with each other. And the main thing is, and it avoids a lot of drama, if you just very clearly post your rules, and then anytime somebody breaks the rule, you say, hey, you broke this rule. It's not a personal thing anymore. It's you're lawful neutral about it, right? So that's really what it is, and the Convergence Committee and all of the regular members of the group are all subject to the same rules.
Oh, so it's like dealing with children. That's nice. Okay, I know how to do that. That's fine.
It's not. Facebook is like dealing with children.
Yes.
Is it a nonprofit or?
Yeah, it's a 501c3.
Right. So you have your bylaws and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
which is part of the rules, right?
Yeah,
When you
those
do
are
certain things.
posted on the organization's website,
Right.
not the convention's website.
And Convergence has changed a lot over the year. Like you've gone from like one location to multiple locations to, there's a lot of different things that you end up from your communication side
Yeah.
super involved with.
Yeah, well, it's like we need to. This is changing, so we need to be able to. Because I also run the Convergence website, which I don't know how many people know that, or it doesn't matter if they know that.
That
So-
there's a website, or the fact
Yes.
that you run it.
that I run it.
Yeah.
I'm part of a team that runs it, but like just about everything that's written on the website, I wrote.
Okay.
Do you also do the app?
The app is actually just the Salesforce app, and that would be the programming department. And there's all the information into Salesforce, and just outputs it into the app.
Oh,
Yeah,
how about that?
I don't have anything to do with the app.
I feel bad for Hal because she's the person that if you work or are involved with Convergence at all, you know that she probably knows stuff. So when I don't know the right person to ask a question, I'm like, Hal, I don't like this email that I got.
It's true. I
Who
get
do
so
I-
many
Yes.
Facebook messages every day.
Like she's the one that I ask when I don't know how to get something taken care of at a convert. Like that's what she's saying. Like you just presume that Hal runs every con in the Twin Cities.
I
So she's
don't.
like, I know, but I'm not saying that you do, but I think you do. Like in my head, if I have a question about another act, you're like, I
She's
have
the
no clue.
con oracle.
Yes, that is a good way to put it.
I get that because I get the occasional private message or email or something demanding that I take care of something that's going on in the local geek community. I write back, I'm like, I don't know those guys. I have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And every now and then I get a response, well, you're a prominent voice in the Twin Cities. You should be able to do something.
Usually, okay, so if you've ever worked in customer service, maybe you know the trick of you never tell somebody no. You give them two options and give them the power to choose, and then they will never get angry at you.
Yes.
Even if both the options suck, they feel like they're in power, so they're not going to get angry at you.
That's
So-
why they put you in charge of things. That's well stated. I like that.
It's a
I need to try that with Shannon.
it's a tried
It's
and
like
true
doing
thing.
freelance work for clients. You do the same thing. You
It's-
give them a
yeah.
terrible option and an option that you want to do. And you hope they pick the one you want.
Well, not even that. You could give them two slightly different variations on what you want to do. I mean, there's a certain amount of social engineering that you learn when you deal with people a lot, you know. But even then, I mean, I do genuinely try to be helpful when people ask me questions, and usually when they ask me, I'm just like, oh, you just need to email this department. Like,
Which
I
is
don't take care of
very
their
nice.
crap. They I just point them in the direction they should probably go to, you know.
Do you feel empowered, though? The fact that somebody can come up to you and you feel confident that you're able to provide them at least give them the right direction.
I'm not sure empowered is the right word for it.
What's the opposite of empowered?
Yeah. It's obligated.
Bound.
It's like nobody else is going to do it, so I'll do it. So that's fine.
Sort of. I mean, it's like you could. Actually, there is if you go to the Convergence website, or actually most well-designed websites, there's a contact form where you can just select general question and email it in, and they'll answer you within 3 days.
But nobody believes that. They're like, I'll just write to Hal. That's what they.
know.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants to email info@company.com.
yeah, that's what it is. info@convergencecon.org.
Right.
Yeah, nobody wants to wait 3 days. I know someone on the
That's
inside.
what
I'm
it
gonna
is.
get
I
'em.
think it's they want the instant, and that's why people will post those questions on Facebook too. And we're just
millennials.
But that's why there's a whole team of people who, it's not just me who moderates the Facebook group, okay?
But it
There's a whole
kind of
team.
is because
It
I'm on
isn't.
that group too. No, like don't get like she's just being very polite because I'm on this group too. I don't moderate nothing. Like I watch the Facebook thread and then we all wait until Hal shows up and she's like, "I got it," and we're like, "Sweet."
No, I disagree. I know that the other moderators do a lot of work.
They do.
Hal's maybe just the most noticeable and
Fair enough.
upfront among them, and that's why everyone associates
It's true.
her with all
And
the work.
when I'm a kill them with kindness kind of person.
Yes.
And so when I step in and I actually say something where I'm like, all right, you guys are being little shits.
Yes.
You knock it off. Then they tend to listen, I think. And maybe that's why it sticks out in your mind.
So it's more of a, "Hey, Hal's here now. Everybody relax."
All right,
I don't know,
everybody calm down and
maybe.
behave. Hal's here.
Honestly, actually, since we posted the rules and it's, social change in a moderated environment can take a little while to happen. But since we posted the rules, it's been about 2.5 years, and people have so mellowed out. And I think it's just having the peace of mind of knowing that, hey, I'm not going to get attacked. Maybe they're not on the defensive so much, and then there's a lot less, potential hurt feelings causing people to be jerks to each other.
Right. So speaking of jerks, what are the main things that you feel like you have to deal with in a convergence or just a con type situation in general?
Ignorance, really. I mean, because you can put messaging out on 5 or 6 different channels, and people will still miss it.
Yeah.
And then they get angry when they miss it. And it's like, it was here, it was here, it was here. I can't force you to read something. But, yeah, a lot of ignorance, and that's part of the challenge of any communications role, is trying to figure out ways to encourage people to, want to be informed.
Yes.
So
Is there entitlement that goes along with that, too?
entitlement?
Because I run across that by nonprofits. Some people are like,
because Twin Cities Film Festival is still like a nonprofit.
Yeah,
as well,
we're
right? You're a
501c3.
nonprofit.
Yeah. So I run across that too, where I feel like I'm being told like I should be hand-holding some people. I'm like, no, you're just like everybody else that I'm trying to communicate with. If you choose not to open up that email that I send out once a month, and then you come the day of the event and it's sold out, and you feel entitled to get in because you're a member or you purchased, a pass the year before. Sorry, sold out. Sold out.
What Jaden's asking is, do people ever stop asking for day passes?
Yeah.
I was about to bring that up as well. How many times?
Because
do you
I
have to
wanted
say
to
there's
ask
no
you for a day
passes?
pass.
Well, since we if you go to the badge pickup page on the Convergence website, near the bottom, there's a little paragraph that explains why day pass don't exist.
And how many people read that?
Actually, since we put it there, and it's actually because that explanation was on the old iterations of the website before it got redesigned, but it was buried badly. But since we put it there in an easy to find place, there have been a lot fewer people asking about that. And also before, because it was so buried, if you linked somebody to it, they'd feel like that. I think maybe the entitlement a little more there, because they would be like, "What, you expected me to find this? And are you calling me stupid because I didn't find it?" Which really wasn't the case.
I'm not calling you stupid, no.
No. Try not to call anybody stupid. I think anybody can miss something like that. But since we've put it in a much more prominent place, it's explained clearly. When we tell people about it, they don't seem to react so angrily anymore, and far fewer people are even asking about it. So that's kind of awesome.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting when you come to something that's like a Convergence or another con that people bother to get so, you use the word angry, where it's like this is something that's supposed to be enjoyable for you, and that they come in from this place of aggression sometimes, looking for things that are going to be wrong in an organization that there's so many people going on. So do you have to preempt any of that, or?
Sometimes. I mean, a lot of it is just setting expectations, just it's dealing with people in general. You set expectations. And I think a lot of people, it's their vacation. They have a preconceived notion of how they want it to go. And when it doesn't go that way, they get upset.
They're like American tourists in another country.
Well, that's anybody. That's the human condition, man.
So you also train at that point, too. You train your volunteers. You train, your staff to appropriately put out the fire.
Well, and particularly the moderators, the ones who work with social media, you don't apply to be one. You get asked to be one because we noticed that you're very good at dealing with these
Really?
situations.
That's how I ended up over here? I'm like, oh, okay, nice.
Well, you're not a moderator.
That's how I got my role.
Wait a minute, I've never been asked to be a moderator.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Pour Fuel on the fire over there.
I would never ask Rob to moderate anything in the internet. Ever.
We have not done that
Plus,
either on
plus
this
I
show.
don't think he would, so I mean, it's kind of a moot point.
But I would like the opportunity to turn it down, is what I'm saying.
It's the job of an incubus, Rob.
You do an excellent job with our social media, Nick.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
do.
you.
Yes. An excellent job of whining as well. But a
I
great job
only
of-
whine when needed.
That's what you call
These
it?
two.
Okay. Anyway.
I did notice, by the way, I mean, because I follow you guys on Facebook and Twitter, and I did notice that you got a lot of followers and not a lot of time, which is impressive for a podcast.
Oh, thank you very much for noticing. We try and be
I noticed
interesting.
these things a lot.
Yes, we do try and be very interesting, and we didn't buy any of them. We just
good.
came up with content and started talking. So,
You know, what I found on social media, because I do social media marketing for a lot of different things, and not just geek stuff for volunteer, like I do professionally too. If the thing that you're promoting is awesome, really all you have to do is figure out ways to say, "Hi, I'm here," and people will follow you anyways. Like, it sells itself.
oh no, now you're encouraging his arguments that I have with him. So, oh well, okay, but thank you, Hal.
No.
I love
what she did
Hal.
is she just said we are awesome. We're doing an awesome thing, and
Again,
I'm
thank you. I
100%
appreciate
behind
that.
That's true.
sentiment. Are we, is there
love
another clip
Hal.
you're playing? What's going on over there? What are you doing?
So, oh no, I'm going to pull up another clip, but that's because we're transitioning to things that Hal likes other than helping out with all the
Yes, I am a giant marketing nerd, though.
Yes, but I appreciate that. I think that's great, and we need people like you because not everybody is great at that. But you like other things as well.
Yes.
Yes. So one of the things that we talked about were British TV comedies, and there's so many of them that are fantastic. Narrowing them down was difficult. So we thought that we'd focus today on Red Dwarf. We'll talk about first, then we'll move on to another one that you like. So you do like Red Dwarf. So do you want to give just a little overview about why you like it, and a little
Well, it's like
background?
my favorite show ever.
Okay, and why is that?
What is it about?
Okay, so it changes over. Okay, it's been on for a
Yes.
long time. It started in 1988, I think.
Yes, it started in 1988 and
Yeah.
ran. The first run was through 1993.
Yeah, so like a lot of British shows, particularly British sci-fi, it went away and came back a bunch of times, but always with the same cast, which is cool.
Yes.
Except for season 7 and 8.
Yes. And it focuses on, if you guys have not seen the show, and it is a fantastic and very funny show, there's 4 main characters in it. So there's basically it's Dave Lister, who is the last known human alive.
Yeah. Okay. The entire show takes place 3 million years after the extinction of the human race.
Correct. Yes. And so it's
Sad
Dave.
face.
So it's Dave and then his bunkmate Arnold, who passed away and is now a hologram.
Yep.
And they have this contentious kind of like odd couple type
It's
situation.
exactly the Odd Couple in outer space.
Yes.
That
So
is
they deal with that. They
what
also
it is.
have another regular character is the cat
Yeah.
that they have, who is this. Basically, he evolved from the descendants of Lister's
Pet
pregnant
cat.
that was back in the day.
It's a cat that talks?
Yeah, because
Oh,
now
he's a humanoid,
He's
so-
a humanoid now.
The way they
oh,
explain it in the first season is, you know how humans evolved from apes? He evolved from cats.
And he's the coolest dude ever. You know,
He's
so
he's Danny John Jules plays him, and
Yes.
he's like a singer, dancer, actor.
Does he have
Yes.
whiskers?
No, but he does have fangs. People, when they see Red Dwarf, they're like, "Oh, the vampire guy." No, he's a cat. And
Correct.
oh my god, his personality is a cat.
So people here in the Twin Cities will understand that. It's basically if you ran into like Fancy Ray McClooney and then put like teeth on him, like that's who he is. So he's the coolest person ever. And then they also have like an android type person.
Yeah, he's an android.
Yes.
He's a service android.
So this started in 1988?
Yeah,
Right. And the thing about Red Dwarf that was so charming is that it's a sitcom, but it's also it's based in a sci-fi world.
It
so,
plays with a lot of sci-fi tropes.
yes. What are you so excited about?
Nico looks at this
Nicole?
motioning. He's like, "You're describing the 4 of us."
So Shannon's the last human. I'm the hologram.
I would say
Okay.
you're the cat.
Oh, really?
Totally
You're
was
the
gonna say
cat.
you're
You
the
can be
cat.
the cat.
I'm
Which
the
one
cat.
of you guys is the biggest a-hole? Rob is Rimmer.
Rimer. Please.
I'm the android?
Yeah, you kind of are.
Kind of the android.
Yeah, you would be but that's okay because like when you listen to the clips, it'll all make sense. So I guess you're right.
take
You're
a
like
data
Nick
any
Hotep,
day.
you are correct. That is kind of the way that we all play out. If you have the 4 of us in a room, and that's part of the reason why I think that the show had such a resonance is that it was a show that had the kind of cast and the kind of characters that you could relate to somebody when you watched it. And the thing that was cool about it is that for a comedy, it had really good effects from a sci-fi perspective.
Yeah,
Like,
the
they
model
were-
work in it is amazing.
Yeah, so they were doing things that you're like, wow, that would be difficult if you were doing something like, even like, I know a lot of us are Doctor Who fans. They, for a while there, had much better
There's a little
access to
TARDIS
things that are
model
better.
in the landing bay of the original Red Dwarf model.
Yes.
It's an Easter egg. It's really hard to see.
Have
Yes.
you heard this before, Hal? Like at the BBC, like if you get a new show, you inherit whatever budget the show had before you.
Yeah.
Which was why like Blake 7 had cardboard cutouts as their ships going by. It was because they inherited a show that was like two guys just hanging around talking.
Yep.
And so I'm assuming that when Red Dwarf got on, they inherited a much better budget.
Well, and it's hilariously, if you watch it, the set, because it goes away and comes back and goes away and comes
Right.
back, the set changes drastically from iteration to iteration because I think their budget just kept going up.
Yeah, and they had a costume guy who was sitting there trying to make all this stuff work. And then what they would also do is that they would just wander around the back lots of the sets that were available
Yeah.
and go, oh, dude, we can use that. And so
There's a lot of random crap all over.
exactly,
So,
where there was a
yeah.
lot of stuff where there was a quarry that would be
Glass
used
window,
over and
yes.
over again. Yeah, and they'd go, hey, we need to find where we're going to make a Western. And they would go around and they'd find some places
Yeah.
they could shoot this Western. Or they would, okay, well, we're going to do something that's going to be more like a film noir type thing. And they go, well, we can put some water in a pan and make this light play off of it this certain way. But then we can also just film it on the back lot of the studio. So they were very creative people, and it would have those normal sitcom type interactions that they have.
Half
but they
hour,
also kind of
hour?
think
Half hour.
Half hour.
And 6 to 8 episodes per season. It depends on the season.
yeah, and it
usually
does-
6.
And they are working on again, like Hal mentioned, another revival of the show that's
They
going to come
just
out
did
now.
season 10, which was amazing. It felt like Red Dwarf got its mojo back.
Nice.
And so they're
So
working
where
on
does
11
one
now.
find the first season?
Well, they're all
They're all on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all
Oh,
on
cool.
Netflix, and now you can find them. They have other like web series that are out there, like on Dave TV and things like that. They had over in Britain, and so like,
Dave is who's producing the most recent seasons, not the BBC.
Yeah, so I mean, so you could find it. So it's like if stuff pops up on Stars and things like that. So there's Dave
Cool.
that you can
Yeah.
do, and so we're talking like so deep into it right now, so it probably doesn't even make sense. So we do have a lovely anthology that or background that Robin.
This is an SOS distress call from the mining ship Red Dwarf. The crew are dead, killed by a radiation leak. The only survivors were Dave Lister, who was in suspended animation during the disaster, and his pregnant cat, who was safely sealed in the hold.
Just suppose I did have a cat. Just suppose. What would you do with Frankenstein?
I'd send it down to the medical center and I'd have it cut up and tests run on it.
Would you put it back together when you'd finished?
Revived 3 million years later, Lister's only companions are a life form who evolved from his cat.
His heartbeat's weird too. Instead of a normal heartbeat, his sounds cooler.
You think I'm gonna have the dorky human heartbeat?
Let me hear it.
Also, his pulse is a different rhythm.
And Arnold Rimmer, a hologram simulation of one of the dead crew.
I didn't think you read. I don't much, but this is good.
What is it?
It's your diary.
Listen, that is my private diary full of my personal things.
It's gone public.
I don't believe it. You've been reading it out to the cat?
Only the best bits.
I am Holly, the ship's computer, with an IQ of 6,000, the same IQ as 6,000 PE teachers.
It's cold outside, there's no kind of atmosphere more or less.
So that's an intro to 4 of the main characters.
Yes.
I did not get the android. When you asked me to pull clips of the 4 main characters, I assumed you meant Holly as the 4th character.
Oh,
so
no.
Well, Holly is a character, but the android doesn't come in until season 3.
And maybe this makes me a bad geek, but when I was a kid and season 1 came on Channel 2, that was what I watched, and I've never seen seasons 2 through 10.
You're missing out.
Yes, because it does. It's one of those shows that it does have its ebbs and its flows. But if you look at the overall. The entire run, it had some really great work that they did, because it wasn't until later in the series that they ended up like winning an international Emmy and things like that.
That's
for the work
season
that they
6,
did. Yes.
yeah.
So if you hold on, you're like, wow, it really does really just kind of
I
kick in.
liked
That's
season
what
1. I thought season
If-
1 was brilliant.
If you know a lot of sci-fi and you also like British comedy, it is like the
Well,
sweet
that's totally
spot.
not me.
I might have to binge on this weekend.
Yeah, that does sound kind of fun.
Yeah, it's good, and it's a lot different from like American sitcoms, because American sitcoms will generally have like an everyman type character for the audience to relate to, because the audience idealizes themselves and projects them onto the everyman. British sitcoms tend to not have that. Everyone is inherently flawed.
Yes, and they're just flawed differently, and then they
Yeah.
find a way to have their flaws complement one another, and then they put together a show.
Mhm.
And I mean, and it really was just when you listen to the way that the cast got to get to know one another and interact with things as they grew and developed, they really did do a good job of finding people that had complementary malfunctions and then growing it into the base of the show. And they just got so used to hanging out with each other that there were things that were still written, but it was just really more of, here's the way these people would just interact anyway as these characters, and
it's a very
gotten better.
believable.
Yeah, you're like,
thing.
and I think that that's great when you look at something that's supposed to be not only a comedy but sci-fi related. The fact that
Yeah.
it's relatable is the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Like you're like, yeah, that's funny.
It's sort of like, what's this common sci-fi trope? Okay, now what happens when I put all of my idiot friends into it?
Right.
That's Red Dwarf.
Kind of like
Or
the show.
Shannon comes out like, who wants to start a geek show?
Now let me put my idiot friends in.
And they all said yes, and I'm like, now we have a podcast. So the other thing that you watch, and I wasn't familiar with this one. I had watched Red Dwarf, and I had actually read the first book. I haven't read the other three yet. But Hal, you brought up Horrible Histories, and Horrible Histories I was really fascinated with, because she's like, it's a kid's show, and I'm always looking for additional options to have my kid watch. And Horrible Histories, again, is another British TV show, and it does cover a lot of territory. And how did you find this one, Hal?
I just kind of hang out on a lot of international TV torrent communities.
Yes.
And so I find out about things as they're coming out and get my grubby hands on them and then subject all my friends to them.
But this one is actually really cool because it's a British children's sketch comedy TV series. And a lot of the people that have weighed in on it are people that write other British sketch comedy series or TV shows that we like the Blackadders of the world and things like that, where you're like, okay, so you understand where that sense of humor came from, and they bring it into this, we're trying to teach you something, but only
They do.
kind of thing.
It's
like-
actually really educational, because they're even if they're riffing on something, then at the end of the sketch, the host, which is a puppet rat,
yes,
comes
Radis
on,
or something like that.
Comes
So-
on. It doesn't matter what his name is,
right?
He comes on and he tells you how what they were talking about relates to what really happened, and what in the sketch is accurate. And when they go kind of off the rails on silly stuff, a little thing pops up in the corner to tell you. So it's very smart and actually really educational, but it is like an Anglican view of history. So it's a lot of you're not going to get a lot of stuff from, like, Africa or India or.
I felt like it was a little reminiscent of like when we grew up watching Schoolhouse Rock, and you'd go,
It is,
okay,
yeah.
that's fine. So it's like there's a way that you put it in a way that's accessible, and I feel like I'm just watching something for purely entertainment value. But now I know a lot of stuff about the
way-
proclamation. So
The
that
way I
kind of-
describe it to people is it's kind of like Beekman's World or Bill Nye the Science Guy, only about history.
Correct. Fair enough. and so what I found is that there's tons of clips out there, and this one is actually from one of the spin-off web series that they've been doing. But
No,
they
no,
did
no. This one,
Oh,
I know
tell
which
me
one
again.
you're talking about.
Yes, which one is this one?
So they made 5 series of the show,
Right.
And the show ended like 2 years ago, but this year is the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta, and they're doing like year-long celebrations in Britain for this. So they made a special
There we
to
go.
air on BBC, and so this is a clip from that.
Your Majesty, we, the noblemen of England, are worried about your continued abuse of power. It threatens the future of the realm. So we've gathered here at Runnymede, and we've written a list of grievances in this document here called the Magna Carta. Really ticked off, actually. Really ticked off.
Big time. Magnum Cartals, whatever. Got some grievances of my own, actually.
I think you'll find our grievances are more serious.
I think you find mine are.
I don't think you will, actually. I don't think you will, actually.
There's only one way to settle this. I propose a grievance battle. Baron, hit it!
Where to start? Which part? We got so many grievances, we could fill a cart. Let's start with some facts. Like tax, they're so heavy that they're gonna break our backs.
We can't pay. There's no chance. We lost all our money when you lost France.
The northern bit, anyway.
Your Majesty, you got pwned. Drop some beats, player.
I'm confused. Is this real? I thought I was the king. I'm holding his seal. Kneel to the king. I'll see you grovel in the grime. I'll tax
And the fact that they put so much effort into making it actually like sound and smart and things like that. I mean, that's part of the reason what the show I think had
Yeah.
the longevity that it had.
And every show has a musical number, and some of them are incredibly decadent.
Yeah.
And most of them are parodies of like music videos.
So they're like a Bollywood movie? No, I'm kidding.
I think it's really interesting that they made it entertaining and fun and like a well made like spoof rap,
Oh,
but
yeah.
also very accurate. And it reminds me of the Galaxy song from Monty Python.
Yeah, it's
which was also like very
that.
well made and accurate enough for
Right.
you know, and that's something you don't see Americans doing in their comedy. You don't see them.
What, accuracy?
Or comedy.
Either or both.
Smartness.
What I gotta think.
I think.
Yeah.
Like Shannon, you're a comic.
Yes.
You may have noticed sometimes if you're trying to pull off smart comedy in front of the wrong crowd,
People do not have
it's not
patience for you.
appreciated.
No,
I think it probably helps that it was meant to be a kids' educational show. It's like, okay, the bar is you have to teach, but from there, go.
have fun.
So
Yeah.
Rat's the only puppet character, or the entire show is
Yeah,
puppetry? Or?
no. The Rat host is a puppet, but
I
everybody else is actors. They're actually comedians, okay, and it's sketch comedy.
Yes. And one of the things that was fun about it, too, is that if you watch a lot of British TV comedies, you do see some of your favorite character or actors show up and eventually
I've
it'll pop in
seen
there.
several of them pop up in different sketch comedy shows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, so it's very similar to one of the shows I watched with Cyclone Kid. Is we watched the show called Yo Gabba Gabba, and it has this following between amongst not only comedians like Jack Black and Andy Samberg and things like that, but it also has a lot of indie rock bands that have made appearances on it because they're big fans of the show, and so
well, there's an
this, I
actual
think,
band called Yo Gabba Gabba. Is it?
No, there's but the Aquabats were one of the ones that were one of the producers of it, and then they had a
Okay.
spinoff. They did their show as well. So the characters of the show were Yo Gabba Gabba.
Same concept, educational.
It was
driven more towards kids. or-
so it's geared towards kids. It's not as focused on having educational topics. It's more just of here's something that we can watch that we enjoy, and it's more topics of here's the way to be a cool person, not so history driven.
So
or
more
specific kind of
US.
thing. Right, so it's
So
more,
like-
it's a lot more just avant-garde weird
Like a
stuff
really
happens.
awesome Mr. Rogers.
Kind of, yes. So stuff just happens. More of like it teaches you things like don't bite your friends and we need to eat our vegetables.
US.
Exactly. So
Forget history. Don't
exactly,
bite your friends.
exactly. And there's whole songs about don't bite your friends. And I'm like, well done. Yes, I shouldn't bite my friends. Thank you for telling me that.
I should have learned that a long time ago.
Right, exactly. That's why you'd have more friends. They don't like it when you bite them. So
You're hanging out with the wrong friends.
but it's actually really interesting when you do have that following from people who are in the industry that are then going, I want to be on this show.
Yeah.
And Horrible Histories has turned out to be one of those shows where like, hey, I'm going to volunteer to be this one. Or if you have a Rowan Atkinson who was in Blackadder and
Oh yeah,
and
he was
Mr.
in the
Bean.
the
Exactly.
Magna Carta.
Yes.
They did a thing of he plays Henry VIII, and it's a parody of an Elvis song, and he sings about like stealing from the church basically for 4 minutes.
And you're
so.
like, thank you very much for learning. Yeah, I would like to learn that. Thank you very much for showing that. So, so the other shows that you were spending your time watching right now, are they American or more British?
Actually, I've been getting into a lot of Scandinavian shows.
Really?
Like, there's this one show that I love passionately called Hellfjord, and it's Norwegian, and it's sort of like if Twin Peaks and Hot Fuzz had a baby and moved to Norway.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have
Nice.
a visual
Look at it.
now. which is
You're
a
like,
good-
I
it's a good
understand
visual.
that
I
There's
do
a lot of
appreciate
like
that
Norwegian
concept.
folklore because that stuff.
No,
is
there's
dark.
none.
Oh.
It's a lot like Twin Peaks, except for it's a little more policey, which is
Okay.
where the Hot Fuzz part comes from. Like the Nick Frost character in Hot Fuzz,
Yes.
is very similar to the main character in Hellfjord. But the whole plot and the whole quirkiness of all the people in the small town is very Twin Peaks-ish, and so.
So when you're like going through all of your torrent sites and you're going, hey, I'm going to look for a new show that I want to be involved in. Like, how do you, what makes you stop and go, that's the next one I'm going to watch? Like, how do you find one?
Well, usually it's just reading the synopsis of
Okay.
it, and even if something is new, like if it's a sci-fi, I'll at least download episode 1 and see what's up. I've also found some really interesting comedy shows from particularly like Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, interestingly.
Okay.
So there's an awesome sci-fi from South Africa called Charlie Jade.
Okay.
That might have aired here at some point. I'm sure it did on a cable channel or something. But it's a parallel universe show. And it's sort of like there's the parallel universe that's our world, and then there's like this like dystopian one, and then there's like this utopian one, and there's certain people who can like go between them. It's really interesting. The storytelling's a little strange, but that could just be like
translation, or I mean,
well,
way
no,
you
it's in
perceive
English.
it, or-
It's in English, but it could just be a different cultural approach to
Well,
the
it's cultural,
storytelling,
right.
or it could have been something that they were trying to do artistically with the parallel universes. I'm not really sure because I haven't watched enough South African TV that's actually sci-fi. But yeah,
To know if it was on purpose or just kind of...
yeah, I don't know. But it's South African, and a lot of times what you'll find is the science fiction that's from other countries is usually Canadian and something else. So like
Okay.
Lex, Canadian, German. Charlie Jade, Canadian, South African, you know?
Right.
With the exception being Britain, they do a lot of sci-fi on their own.
So we get through Convergence Week, and then what's next for you, Hal?
Next year's Convergence.
No, I go to a lot of conventions with Christopher Jones. He's a local comic book artist. I do his promotions and
Okay.
stuff. So after that, I guess there's GeekCon in Madison, Wisconsin. I'll be going to with him, and Greg Weisman will be there too. It's a good con. If you've got any, particularly, it's very kid friendly, and they've got the most impressive video game room I've ever seen at a fan run con. It's ginormous. So, and then. Man, I don't know. I'll probably double. I won't have Convergence looming over me for getting communications out, so I'll probably double down on growing Twin Cities Geek some more.
Nice.
So, because that's a project that needs a lot of love and hasn't had any in a couple months.
Yes, fair enough. So we encourage everybody to go to TwinCitiesGeek.com. They also have a weekly calendar, right, that you're putting out?
Oh yeah. Okay. So the calendar.
Okay.
Started because I do promotions for the local Rocky Horror Picture Show here in
Yes.
Minnesota, and I'd been trying forever to get a listing of any kind of like promotional value on the City Pages calendar, and with no luck.
Okay.
You know, it's really hard to get on their calendar unless you pay them.
Yes.
And so I decided to just make my own community calendar.
Yes, as you should.
Yeah. And so anybody, seriously, anybody can go on the community calendar. It's just go to TwinCitiesGeek.com, click on calendar, and submit an event, and it pops onto the calendar, and it gets its own event page, and you can put a picture up and a description and how much it costs and when it is, etc.
Oh, nice. So like you're not blocking anyone from putting
No,
their
anybody
event
can. I mean, there is, when you submit it, it goes into a queue for the editors to approve, because we don't want people just like writing penis, penis, penis and putting it
Right.
live.
Fair enough.
What if that's an event, though?
Then we would put it up. But
I would think
mean,
for SEO purposes. That would be a good thing.
But yeah, so, and then it generates its own event page, and then that can be downloaded with one click to iCal or Google Calendar.
Very cool.
So, and that's free. Anybody can, you have to make an account because, again, to prevent spam, but it just means put your email address in. That's all it is.
Right.
And then there's also forums on there as well. If you want to do some online socializing where Facebook doesn't own it, then there's that. But particularly, yeah, if there's anybody out there who does events, I mean, pub quizzes or, theater or, if you have a club that meets and you're trying to recruit new members, throw your meeting up there.
I'm going to throw up the Film Festival.
There we go.
You certainly can do that. And anybody can. I mean, it's meant to be open, and it's meant to be a community resource, and it's free, and I will never charge anybody to use it.
Well, we appreciate what you do and being able to go and log on to TwinCitiesGeek.com. We're all going to make sure we check out that site. And as more things come up, we'll have you on the show again. We appreciate all that stuff. So thank you very much, Hal. I know you have a lot of other things that we could talk about. We just focused on a couple of things today.
Yeah.
So we do thank everybody over at TwinCitiesGeek.com. We also thank Custom T-Shirt Central and Chris McDuffie Photography, and of course the Twin Cities Film Fest, which is coming up in October. Next week we are going to speak to our friend Will Spotted Bear, which is another person that I'm like. He has so much geekly knowledge, like focusing, like even like he has so many comic books that he's made them a platform for his bed. So narrowing him down to like a couple of topics that we can fit into one show will take a little bit of wrangling. But we're going to have him on the show next week. And in the meantime, we hope everybody has a great week. And we will
Enjoy Convergence, by the way.
Exactly. Enjoy the rest of Convergence.
Happy
And-
4th of July.
Yes, and we will see you again soon here on Your Geek Show.